or an FAQ or get back to you guys today. However you want to handle that is perfect. So without any further ado, let's dive into this. So let me see if I can get my screen share to work properly. There we go. Hopefully you guys can all see the SBA website here. And it's simple and easy to find. It's just www.in.gov/SBA. And that's the main SBA website. The meat and potatoes, the real big portion of this is under our grants management section on the SBA site. So a little bit of changes have happened here. So right now, this menu button up here is going to be your best friend. That's the steering wheel to this bus, so to speak. So by clicking on that, it's going to open up a little drop down so we can get to all the different functionalities on the SBA site. Again, the prime rib of this dinner is going to be under grants management. That's where we house all this information for the state agencies to actually utilize eCivis to build their application, build that solicitation, do their reviews. They're all working in eCivis too, but that's on the state side of eCivis. Today, we're going to be talking about the non-state employees or the subrecipients or applicants. That's the term that we use a lot for you guys, okay? Those of you, the people who are applying for these things. So we use the term applicant, meaning that you're applying for that grant, and then subrecipient when you get that grant. So that's the terminology you'll see on the website and that you'll hear me talk about today. So when I say applicant or subrecipient, that's basically, excuse me, who you guys are. So here, again, under the SBA website, under grants management, when I click on this drop-down button, it's going to give me all the resources that we have specifically set up for grants management, whether you're on the state employee side or whether you're on the applicant subrecipient side. So the very first thing we have, and I'll kind of walk you through the ones that are important to you guys, is our eCivis login guidance. And this is where you start to see that two sides of the street thing, is that we have login guidance for state agencies. And their terminology, the vernacular we use for that is the eCivis Grants Network. That's where Karen and her group would actually go into eCivis and create these solicitations, do their reviews, and do all their work on their side of it. You guys, again, are the applicant subrecipients. That's the terminology we use for anyone who's applying for these grants. So here we have actually the link that'll take you to the eCivis portal. So that's the distinction. You guys are going to hear the term eCivis, and there's, again, two sides to it. There's the grants network side to it, which is state agencies. And then there's the eCivis portal, which is the portal or the method that you guys will use for actually filling out the application and submitting it to Karen. And then when, not if, when you get awarded, that's when we actually do your management of it too as well. So we have that information here. So if you guys need to get to the eCivis portal and you forget how to get there, you can actually click on this. It will take you to the portal, which we're going to explore here in just a little bit thoroughly. But you can always use this to go set up your account. Even if you haven't set up your account at eCivis, you'll want to set up an account at the eCivis portal, which is super easy and free. There's no charge to you guys. You can create as many eCivis portal accounts as you need for your agent or for your entity to be able to take care of this work. And we just kind of walk you through a little bit of here of, create the account or logging in. But I'll go more in depth into that. One thing I also did want to show you is we have identified a little bit of an issue for the applicant subrecipients. This is under our troubleshooting notes. Is that if you're an Apple user, if you are using Safari as a web browser with Apple computers, there's a second login into eCivis that sometimes gets a little glitchy with Apple computers, especially older versions of Safari. But luckily, there's a simple, easy fix for it by going to your settings and privacy. By unchecking or temporarily unchecking prevent cross-site trafficking, that'll take care of the issue so you guys will be able to get into eCivis and do the work you need. If you're using Apple with a Safari web browser, again, there is a little bit of an issue that's been identified. But again, you can always come here and it'll show you exactly how to uncheck that one box and that fixes the problem. So again, let's go back to our steering wheel, our menu button up here. And it's going to take us right back to our grants management section that where we're going through today. eCivis implementation information is pretty much for state employees, for what we're implementing this for the state employees, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And we have the resources for state agencies. Again, that's Karen and her group. That's their side of eCivis. Your guys' side is for subrecipients. So Resources for subrecipients is going to be the biggest area you go to when you guys are looking for help. But before I dive into that, I also want to show you guys a few quick things here too that we have on these menus. We actually have the state grant opportunities listed here too as well. So when you go to that, this is going to house all the different public state grant opportunities that are available for anyone who wants to apply for these grants. Right here is our IOT grant. Okay, so we're going to be diving into that here in just a little bit. So, but if there's any other opportunities that the state is advertising this time as public solicitations, they'll be listed right here on the SBA website. So it's simple and easy for you guys to find this information so you can apply for any of these grants that are being listed. If they're private grants, you'll be actually emailed a link that'll take you to a page that looks just like this. So you'll be able to go into it that way. So again, back to our steering wheel. The next thing I want to show you real quick is our grants management workshop. What we're doing is we're putting on a workshop demonstrating to people, whether you're a state agency, like Karen and her groups, they always would come to the state agency side for these workshops, where the workshops are nice. They're little 30-minute demonstrations about things, and then we have Q&A where we can talk about any known issues or things that are going on or something of that nature. We can always then, address those issues as we're doing that here. For you guys to be the applicant subrecipient office hours, these are the ones that would be perfect for you guys. It's basically going to walk you through what I'm going to be doing today. So it's a 3-part cycle that we do, and then it revolves back around. So after November 21st, the first Thursday after that, we do them every other Thursday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We'll go back to training session 1. So it's kind of good timing for you guys here as your solicitation comes around. Towards the end of November, you'll be able to go through the whole process of seeing exactly creating your portal account, which I'm going to talk about today, planning that solicitation, which I just showed you, completing the application with the budget or maybe some goals associated with it. So basically what we're talking about today, you guys get the opportunity to go back through that again and have that one-on-one to ask some questions. And guess what? It'll be me. So you'll be able to say, hey, Dave, can you go through that again? Can you go through this again? And it's a great way for us to have that kind of one-on-one dialogue to walk you guys through this process, which I really am assured that you guys are going to find very intuitive and very easy. If you've ever ordered anything off of Amazon, which pretty much all of us have, it's that simple. It's very intuitive. But I wanted to highlight these grants management workshop hours for you guys. We set them especially for you guys so that you can see the process from creating the account all the way to grant closeout, how you'll be managing those in the eCivis portal. So we're almost there. I keep talking about that eCivis portal, so we're almost there. Back to our steering wheel. If you ever need to contact the grants management team, which is the simplest, easiest way to do that, is to click on the grants management team's contact page. And here, again, you guys will be non-state employees. So by clicking on this, we'll give you the information where you can shoot us an email. It goes directly to a box that is monitored by my team at SBA so that we can quickly and easily get back to you guys. So a little distinction here, though, is that if it's a specific question about, again, okay, in question 3, what do you really need me to answer? How do you want to answer this? That's something you would send out to Karen and her group at IOT for the specifics of how do you answer that question? What do you need for the answer? If it's, Dave, I forget how to get to question 3, great question for me. You can shoot me an email. I can walk you through the process of how to get to that application so that you can fill it out. But as you'll see, Karen's built a lot of great resources too that you guys will be able to use to help explain what you put into question 3. We have a lot of great resources for you, which are basically mimicking what I'm demonstrating to you today, how you can get to these things and do that. So there are these user guides that are going to support you through the whole process. So let's dive into that process. Again, back to our steering wheel, the menu up here. Grants management, the prime rib of the dinner. When we open that up, here's where you're going to find most of the things that are going to be really applicable to you guys, okay? This is going to be under our resources for state agencies. Oh, excuse me. Resources for subrecipients, okay? I've been giving a lot of speeches to state agencies lately and got lost there for a second. So resources for subrecipients. And again, that's the terminology we're using for y'all. is you're an applicant or a subrecipient. So don't get hung up on different vernacular. I know a lot of different agencies call different things, grantees, post-grantees, sub-grantors, all kinds of things. You guys will be referred to as applicants, subrecipients. So by clicking on this, we'll take you to the resources page that we have set up with all these different things to help you all get through this process. Start out basically by letting you know what is a subrecipient and what is an applicant. Again, you guys, we consider you applicants until when you're awarded your contracts, then you could become a subrecipient. So you're a non-federal entity that's applying for a subaward, excuse me, a subaward from a state agency, which makes you an applicant or subrecipient. What's nice about this page is you don't have to leave it once you get here. I'd recommend bookmarking it, probably even too, when you get to it if you want. And what we have here is we have all these different tabs that are going to walk you through this process. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you want to apply for this. You want to apply for this funding. And how do you do that? Well, that's all done in the eCivis portal, as we mentioned here, and you need to set up an account for that. So we have a user guide, which is a bit of a longer, maybe 10-page guide that walks you through the process with screen captures, the whole 9 yards, so that you can see exactly what you're getting into as you're trying to set up that portal account. So we have a quick reference sheet, which is maybe the second or third time you're there, which is just 1 or 2 pages, just highlights the bullet points for what you need to be able to take care of that. Or if you're like me, who like to have somebody actually clicking and talking, we have these short little 1 or 2 minute long videos that are going to walk you through the process. So if you're like, I can't remember how to set up my portal, by clicking on the video, it'll take you to a YouTube link where we have a minute or 2 long video with narrative that walks you through click here, so you can actually see the process in action. Again, big thing that I recommend to you guys is to go ahead and open up these user guides. And so let's take a look at what they look like. And again, I love them because they're full of screen captures. To me, user guides that just list things are kind of like a little confusing because I'm a very visual learner. So I love these ones because they talk exactly about these screen captures and walk you through the process. So normally what I do is I have one of my tabs open up here, set up with my user guide. So if I ever get lost in the process, I can refer right back to my user guide. So it's like today, we'll be talking about reviewing the solicitation. Remember, I talked about those grant opportunities page. Well, there it is right there, okay? It's going to give you a rundown of those solicitations, where they're advertised, even gives you a link to it, so you can see exactly what they're all about. And I'll talk more about those later here too. Then we get into logging into the portal. How do I get to the portal? The user guide is going to give you that link that we had talked about under resources for logging in. It's going to give you the link and walk you through what you need to do. The first thing you'll probably need to do is create an account if you haven't been there yet. If you've done other state agencies solicitations, then you probably have an account because eCivis is the state method for submitting your application. So what if you did it for maybe FSSA, you already have an account created. So when you're doing IOT solicitation, you won't have to worry about creating an account. But if it's your first time there, you'll need to create an account, which is simple and easy as put in your email address, who you are. It's going to shoot you an email, so you verify that. You say, yes, that's who I am, Dave. And there you go. You have an eCivis portal account. They're free. There's no charge back to the state, and you can create as many of them as you want. When you're submitting your application, there'll be one person who's basically in charge of submitting that application. So you would just need the one account. If you need other people on board, you can do that externally and then just have that one person submit that application. Remember when you get that awarded contract, that's when you can actually build a team in the eCivis portal so that you could have one person submitting financial reports, maybe one person submitting activity reports, things of that nature. The awarded side of it, you'll be able to build a team for doing that. But for submitting the application, it's the one account that'll actually be submitting the application for that. But again, the user guide is great because it's going to give you the link to there. It's going to give you the screenshots, exactly what you're going to see as you're walking through that. So let's keep that user guide open up there in a tab so we can refer back to it as we need it. So now I'll go back to this resources for subrecipient pages to show you guys a little bit more about that. And like I said, what's so nice about this is that we have these user guides, quick reference sheets, videos, however your preferred method of learning is to get you through that. from cradle to grave. Whether you're first setting up your portal, when you get that award, we're going to walk you through how to manage that award. We're going to walk you through how you can do that in the exact same spot in that east of his portal. There's not another area you need to go once you're awarded, anything like that. So the way you sign up, the way you manage it, and then when you close it out is all in the same east of his portal. It's great for consolidating that workspace that everyone's working with now too. And it tracks everything you do. So I think you guys are going to really find it a very useful tool for organizing how you manage these grants. So again, we'll walk the website, all the resources are right here on this page. It's going to walk you through managing that. Even before when we get the grant closeout, it's going to show you the processes for how you close out those grants. Then the training material is basically just an aggregate of all these different tabs here we put into one spot. So if you ever need to just reference any of the training materials, we have them here in that little one-stop shop thing we like to call it. What's really nice about this resources page is we actually mimic that page, that first one I showed you about grant opportunities, where those were located. We actually mimic that right inside of this page. So again, you never have to leave it. By clicking on grant opportunities, it'll take you to those opportunities that we have listed here for any of the states, agencies that have out solicitations, public solicitations. So it's great because, like I said, if you're here and you want to get into the grant opportunity, you actually have all those resources then right here too on the same exact page for how you can do that. So let's look at the one that we're talking about today, these IOT seed grant, working with GIO or GIS, excuse me. So by clicking on that will take us to the actual solicitation for this. This is the one that Karen and her group have built. And I mentioned this to other agencies. I got to give Karen a big shout out because she has done a wonderful job building this, you guys, just wonderful. What's so awesome about it is we have an overview about it right here. And she has very good detailed information about when the application is due, when is it going to end, and then a great summary about the steps that you'll need to take for getting this taken care of. Everything about the grant itself. So you can actually read through the entire summary that's going to give you a really good breakdown. And these are the questions that you would ask Karen and her group. She's already taken care of that for you and given you a wonderful summary explaining everything about the grant, what it's all about, the timeline, everything like that nature. Please refer to the note for documentation for additional details. Well, guess what? She's got all that posted right here on the same page. So these tabs right here are the ones that are going to help you understand the grant itself, whether you're eligible for it, the financials involved, contact information, and any support documentation. So even without clicking that apply button, I can find out everything I need to know about this grant. Is it applicable for me? What are some of the specific questions I have about it? She's going to have those answered right here for you. Am I eligible? It's going to give you your requirements. It's going to let you know, first of all, who is eligible, and then any eligibility notes. What are these requirements that you're going to need to know so that you're eligible to actually get this grant? So you're not going to waste your time back and forth with phone calls trying to figure that out, or find out that, sorry, you weren't eligible or you missed a step in that. Very great detailed explanations about the eligibility for that. So definitely want to read this, you guys. Make sure you go through that. But again, what's so nice about it is that it's right here up front. You don't have to go find that information out somewhere else. You don't need to contact IOT to find out whether or not that's necessary, whether or not you're even eligible for this grant. All this information is right here. The financials. What kind of money are we talking about here? Is this something that is going to be worth our time? Is this something that is going to benefit our program? All the financial information about it is a breakdown right here for this. If you do need to contact Karen and her group, the contact information is right here too as well. And this is the methodology for how they want you to contact them. So you've got help right at the tips of your fingertips right here on this page. And again, before I even applied for it, I have all the help information that I need. And if I do need to reach out to somebody, then I have that contact information right here. So I know exactly how to go to get the assistance that I need to make sure that I'm doing this properly. Then the last tab are the files. And this is where I really recommend that you guys download these. And again, another shout out to Karen for putting together a wonderful examples for everything for how to get through this whole process. So you have the NOFA here. So you definitely want to review that so that you can see how that's done. These are examples of the budget when we're going to fill out a budget and an example of the profile that you'll need to fill out too as well. Activity reports. When you get awarded these contracts, you'll need to be submitting activity reports. Well, Karen and her group have built these examples, how you can do that, how you can actually get through that, how you can get through the financial reports for doing that. And then the application. This is great because this is what you guys are filling out. This is what you're going to use hopefully to be able to get that award. So she's got built-in examples of the application itself so that you can go right to it and see exactly the information that you'll need to supply when you're filling out your application or if you're filling out your profile. So what I want to do is go ahead and we'll keep referring back to this. So let's open up that example of the profiles. And again, I'll show you is that she's done a wonderful job, especially with screen captures. Again, I love screen captures because verbiage sometimes, as you see on this page, confuses me. I want to see the page. And so this is wonderful because it's going to show you exactly. This is the application we're about ready to dive into. So this is going to show you exactly what that application, the profile of the application is going to look like, okay? The application is kind of made up of three parts. There's a profile to the application, there's the actual application itself, and then there's the budget. And I'm going to talk about that a lot because you always want to make sure that the budget is with the application, that you actually are submitting it with a budget because it's the one area that people sometimes have neglected to submit that budget. They get all excited, they fill out the application, like, wow, that was super easy to submit. And then they go, oh, wait, I forgot to even ask for how much money I was going to ask for. I need to do the budget portion of that. But it's great because these videos are going to help you remember that. And Karen's done a wonderful job building these documentations, showing you how to do all that stuff. So again, here's this excellent example of exactly what you're going to see when you fill out the profile for your application. It's going to walk you through all the questions they're going to be asking you, giving you a heads up about what you need to answer for that. Very straightforward, to be honest with you. Very straightforward. But again, this is super because if you do have these questions about, I'm not quite sure how to answer this, you can refer back to this documentation, these guides, about some of the ones that are a little bit more specific to the application. So she's giving you a wonderful breakdown about how that's going to work. And if you have any questions, you can always refer back to this, and it's going to walk you through the entire application process itself, all the way up to where we're going to send this off to them. So we've got our user guide set up here. So it's going to walk you through the process. We've got Karen's really cool example of how to get through the process. So you have all kinds of support right at your fingertips before you click that apply button. And I'll come back to this when we get to the profile. I'm doing the profile right now. So when we're doing the application, we can bring that up and we can have that as one of our tabs or one of our windows that we can refer back to as well. So as the application process is going on, those are the ones that be most important to you guys will be the example of the budget, the profile, and the actual application itself. All three of those are the components that you'll be shooting over to Karen and her group when you're ready to apply. So without any further ado, maybe even a drum roll, let's click on that apply button and see what's going to happen. So when I click apply, oops, actually what I wanted to do was show you that it's going to take you to the eCivis portal. I apologize. I had a meeting earlier and was already logged into the eCivis portal. But this is the eCivis portal. This is where you're going to go to log into the eCivis portal so that you can actually fill out that application and be ready to go. Okay. And again, if you remember my screenshots under my user guides here that I have up, it's the same thing. That's why I love these screen captures, because it's not explaining what you're going to see. It's showing you exactly what you're going to see. So I have that tab open here with my user guides. So if I get lost in the process, I can follow that. So let's go back to, this is the eCivis portal that was linked to from that apply button, remember? So from that apply button, as soon as I click on that, it's going to take me to the eCivis portal to apply for Karen's grant. So simply, if you haven't been here before, you will need to create an account, okay? But again, that's as easy as who are you? What's your name? What's your email address? Thank you very much. Welcome to the portal, basically. It's just that easy. So once you create your account there, then it'll take you to the actual portal login. Again, I'm using that term portal a lot so that you don't get confused and see this and go, which one was it again? Grants Network is for the state employees. So when the state employees would be logging into the system, they'd have a state employee address where they would use the Grants Network login. You guys are non-state employees, so you will use the portal login, and that's why I have a Yahoo account, even though I'm a state employee. I have a Yahoo account that I'm using to demonstrate this process so that you guys know which way to go. Again, being an applicant subrecipient means that you're going to be in the eCivs portal side of things, not the Grants Network side of things. Grant Network is for the state employees. The portal's for you guys. So let's dive in. So clicking on the portal login is going to take me right to the IGIO Sewing Enrichment and Enhancement Data Sets, the seed grant, exactly what I'm looking for. So now this is going to become your workspace from the get-go. Now, if this is your very first time to eCivis, they will have you fill out a profile. This is your profile for eCivis, not the profile for the application, the profile for eCivis. And it's basically, who are you? What organization are you with? Just so eCivis has that information, which you can always go back and update at any time. It's a simple interface. As you're working on your applications, and I'll show you as we're going through this, your applications will be housed here. So if you're submitting to multiple state agencies for different grants, they're all going to be under your applications as you're working on those, okay? And then when, not if, when you're awarded these contracts, you need to manage those, guess what? They're under My Awards. So it's very simple, easy interface to work with. Like I mentioned, if you've ordered off of Amazon, then I think you'll find this just as user-friendly and easy to use, okay? So we clicked on that apply link and it took us into the portal. So now we actually want to get to that application, which will be the profile first, then the application, then the budget for doing that. So we do that by clicking on create new application. That's a little terminology difference. I've actually brought that up to eCivis, something maybe they could call it, fill out application or something, but create new application is how you get to those actually the next steps. So by clicking on that, it's going to take a minute and loading into the actual application. And again, the application is basically made up of three parts. It's the profile, the application, and the budget. That's probably the biggest key thing to take away from today's message or meeting is that your application is made up of three parts. And remember, Karen has those user guides Karen has those examples walking you through all those ones too as well. And those are the three that be applicable during the application process. These financial reports and things like that, that's going to be when you are awarded those contracts. And if we have time, I'll give you a 5-minute little quick overview of showing you how simple and easy that interface is too. But now we want to submit that application. So what it's going to do is it's going to log us in. And you might be saying, Dave, I'm already logged into eCivis. You are, but now we're logging into the application itself, because we want to make sure that who's submitting that application is the proper person. So by clicking here, it's going to log us into, again, portal. I can't stress that word enough. You guys are subrecipients, applicants, subrecipients. So portal will be the login method that you're going to use. So we'll click into the portal login. And luckily, it's going to remember who I am. And we'll log into the portal. Okay, perfect. Now remember, you guys, I talked about those three things that we need to do to submit the application is actually made of three parts. The first one being the profile. Here it is, okay? And this is going to relate right back to Karen's resources that we had talked about. Here they are, the example of the profile. So this is what the profile is going to look like, and this is how you guys are going to fill out the profile to be able to get to the application itself. So you can fill out the application and then get you to the budget so you can fill out the budget portion of it. So again, create resources here for that, okay? And again, actually on my user guides, it's going to walk you through the same thing too. You're going to see the same screenshots too as well. So we have user guides to help you through it. We have the examples of how you will fill out the actual application for this specific grant. The user guides are generic for all grants. Karen's examples are specific for this grant. So twofold, got you covered. So simply to fill out the application or the profile of the application, we want to click on open. And you just saw this, didn't you? And Karen's used it, guys. Again, that's why I can't stress this enough. It's so wonderful. Wrong window. There it is. It's the exact same picture that you're going to see as you get to the eCivis portal to fill out your application. So you can use this. I'd print it out, have it on your other screen as you're going through the application. You can refer back to Karen's example of how you're supposed to fill this out. Wonderful. It's going to walk you through the whole process. So for the application information, it's already pulled over my name and things like that from my profile. So the application type is going to, for me, would be an individual. I'm just going to go through and hit the ones that are required. So in a meeting of time to get through this, but anything else, you guys want to make sure you fill out every question on that and refer back to Karen's example for doing that. So for the interest of time, I'm going to hit the ones that have these asterisks by them, meaning they're required. I wouldn't be able to submit my profile unless I filled those out. So luckily, it also remembered all that information for me. I was able to take care of that. So my organization name is SBA. That's who I work for. And again, that is all pulled from my profile. Not doing business in any organizational type is a state agency. That's who we are. Taxpayer's ID number is a required field, so I do need to fill that out. 5, 6, 7, 8. Does it have a unique identifier? Here I'm going to say no. If you say yes to this question, it's going to expand and say, well, then what is your UEI? Okay. In the interest of time, and I'm just going to say no for these ones. It's pulled a DUNS number for me from my profile. Does this organization have an additional federal certificate? Here I'm going to say no, just to get through this. Again, luckily it's remembered who I am, the organizational names and all that. The one thing it didn't pull, it's on your profile, is county. And so I need to put in something like that. I'm actually in Marion County here in Indianapolis. And again, it's pulled out all that information for me. Are the authorized representative for this organization? Yes, I am going to say that. If you do say no, it's going to ask you who is. Okay. But again, to save time to get through this, it's going to say yes, I am for that. Are your business financial contract in this organization? Yes. Are you the lead organization person? Yes, I am for that. Okay, this is where it gets into a little more specific information that's specific towards this grant. So this is where if you're not quite sure what to put into these fields, refer back to that example. Again, I can't thank Karen enough and her group for doing this. Saved lots of phone calls. She's going to walk you through what you need to put into this information in her example. Remember that you guys are able to get from that resources for subrecipient page right there. Well, go back to it real quick. Remember, here's that page where she had all these examples of the file. So right now we're working on the profile, so you could pull that information up so that you can get to it and enter this information. So she's going to walk you through any of the ones that need to be put into this area here. None of those are actually required for me to be able to submit this, but they are required for you to fill out your application completely. So don't just skip over those. Make sure you fill out these ones. And if you have any questions about it, refer back to Karen's documentation for how to take care of this. So now I can actually say this is a draft. So, I'm not quite sure who is the data steward or things of that nature. You can refer to people in your organization, get that information, go back into it, fill out your profile, and away you go. So you can save it as a draft, so you can refer to other people, come back to it and fill it out completely. Or you can say, create my profile. So when I click on that, perfect. It created my profile for me, and it told me it's been completed. Now, again, if I saved it as a draft, it'd look just like this too, but it'd say draft, and then it would say edit. So you can always go back to and edit. So even if I complete my profile, any of the portions of it, until I submit it, I can always go back and edit those things. So once you say, okay, that's completed, don't worry if you find out, oh, shoot, I needed to change the answer to that. As long as you haven't submitted it yet, you can always go back and edit it. So we've got one of the 3 elements already done. We've got our profile completed for that. So remember, there's 3 elements to doing this. We have the profile, the actual application, and the budget. The budget is an important piece to remember to do that, because one of the things we've identified is that eCivis will give you the ability to submit yours without the budget. You're going to see a submit budget when I complete my application. That's because Now, the state of Indiana requires a budget for all grants. Some other states do not. So eCivis is kind of an out-of-the-box program we're using. So it will allow that. So the biggest caveat, and I'm so glad you guys are attending our training today, and it's also explained in the application itself that you need to submit your budget for that. Make sure you do not click that submit button until you complete the 3 prongs, and you can't anyway until you've finished your profile and your application, but you need to make sure you submit your budget. So just remember those 3 things you need to do to make your application: profile, application, budget. Okay. So now we got our profile completed, and eCivis is going to tell you, great, here is how you get to your application. If it's blue, that means you need to do something with it. You haven't completed the entire application yet. So we need to still do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's click on the application process, because now we're doing the actual application. It's going to give you a warning for how long you have to get it done. This is kind of a rolling one, so it's a big number right there. Yeah. But again, we want to make sure that we're getting to the application so that we can get that filled out along with their profile and budget to get submitted over. So before I even click on the application, I bet you guys are guessing what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to Karen's awesome solicitation page that she's created with this documentation about how to get through that. We did the profile, so now we want to look at the example of the application itself. So now she's going to give you these awesome, cool screenshots so you can actually walk through the actual application portion of that and make sure that you're addressing everything that needs to be addressed while you're filling out the application portion of this, okay? So this is one that is specific towards this specific grant. So this is a great one to make sure you've got up in another pop-up window if you want to print it out, if you got the one monitor blues, or you want to slide it over to your second monitor as you're filling it out on the eCivis monitor. That way it can walk you through exactly what's going to want to be done. And again, the thing that we have identified is that people have submitted their application without the budget. So Karen has done a wonderful job of actually highlighting in numerous places, reminding you, don't forget the budget. Okay, eCivis will allow you to submit your application without a budget, but you have to have a budget associated with it. Okay, that's what's the key thing about that. So again, walks you through the whole process for how to fill out the application, the things that are required, how you need to answer any of the questions associated with that, and then even giving you a nice friendly reminder: complete that budget before you submit your application. Also, if there's any kind of uploaded support documentation you need, you're going to want to upload that in the application process. Okay, that's where if there's any support documentation is going to go along with that, we're going to actually upload that in the application process itself. So with Karen's awesome example here, let's actually dive into the application and see what that looks like. So we're back in our eCivis portal, and now asking us to fill out the application portion of that. Again, it's simple and easy. By clicking on open, it's going to take me to the application itself. And lo and behold, it looks exactly like Karen's screenshots for how to fill out this information. So the application project title is going to be David's grant. And I believe that she asked us for the county, because there's multiple counties associated with it. So again, go back to the documentation, make sure you review that, and so you're doing this properly. So, but I'll say Marion County, David's grant, Marion County for IOT. Okay. So again, refer back to her documentation for any kind of naming conventions or something of that nature. Organizational name, in this case for me, would be SBA. Okay. And again, I'm not going to walk through too much of this with you guys. Please indicate, service vendor or project, but as you see, it's a simple, easy interface where radio buttons, vendor names, info. So anything you need to add to those ones there like that, it's not very difficult at all. The file upload sections. Please upload the complete knowledge assessment and certification achievement for all parties doing this. This is exactly where you do this. I'm sure that you guys are pretty familiar for how to do file uploads. We just click select the file. It's going to take you then to where you can choose the files that you want to for this. I apologize, I don't have a dummy one set up for that, but I'll just go ahead and throw a file into here just to show you guys how easy it is to upload any of these files into this application. Budget cost. Here's we're going to put in actual money figures and things of that nature for stuff. Oops. So if you need to put in the money figures and things like that, that's where that's going to go. Please complete the budget before submitting your application. Remember, great reminder about that. Again, that is the one little area we have identified has been a bit of a sticky point for people because you will have the ability to submit your application without the budget, but you need to make sure you have that budget portion done with that. Okay. And like I said, lots of friendly reminders about that. So any other information that you need to put into here, you can put them into these simple, easy text fields. Selecting different options that need to be selected for this. I don't know the ones that are, but any selections you need to make. Again, this is like Amazon. This is an interface that you should be very comfortable with. There's nothing tricky about it. Uploading files. If we need to upload certain files for that, again, we have that ability to do that. Again, radio buttons, yes and no's, whether you need to, whichever one is directed for that. It'll change then the questions listed below that, whether or not how you select these different ones. So the application is very dynamic. It's going to really work with you as you're filling it out and putting any of the information that you need into here to be able to get these grants, because this is the stuff that's going to be reviewed so that when you're selected for these ones. And then, again, any other support documentation that you need for that, this is where you're going to upload those files. Okay, there isn't a secondary one when you shoot the application. Your uploads are going to be done actually in the application itself. So if there's any kind of support documentation that you want the IOT group to know as they're reviewing these, it's important to add those to the application itself. So if there's any other, again, a file you need to associate with this, simple and easy, attach it to that, and away you go. And again, we're reminding you one more time, please complete the budget project before submitting the application, okay? Now again, I can save it as a draft as I want to. If I'm not quite sure about some of this information in here about how to do this, I need to refer to other people in my agency to get that information, I can save this as a draft, no problem. And if I do that, if I do save as a draft, it's going to be under my applications. Super easy to get back to it, fill it out so that you can then submit it later on once you have it all filled out. Again, you're in the application portion of this. So as you're working through your applications, whether it's for Karen Hurst Group or other states, other state agencies, excuse me, they'll all be housed in their applications. Simple and easy to find the ones that you're looking for. Okay. But let's say that we're really happy with this. We have gotten through the application itself. We think you have everything completed with it. We're in good shape. So we're going to hit mark as complete. If there was any little required fields that didn't get filled out, it'll pop up and say, warning, you need to fill that portion of it out. That's a required field. You won't be able to mark this as complete until those required fields are taken care of. So there's logic behind it too as well. So if there's anything required, it will not actually allow you to submit it. But again, you should answer every question. You should always go back to that awesome, here it is, this awesome example of the application itself. It's going to walk you through anything that you need to do this. It's going to give you examples of anything you need to, how you want to answer any of these questions. So make sure you have that example that Karen built up on that second screen or print it out. So as you're going through here, you can actually see exactly what's going on. So this is the part I wanted to warn you guys about. Okay, this is again the area we've identified, and this is why you see a lot of stops in yellow. Make sure you submit your budget. It's because there is a submit budget here now, or there is a submit button here. Okay, so a lot of people get all happy going, "Whew, that wasn't hard at all. That was a piece of cake, man. Submit." Oh, wait a minute, the budget. Okay, so you don't want to do that. When you see that submit budget, submit there. That's available because you have filled out the application, but you still need to do your budget. Okay, can't stress that enough. And again, the reason is because e-service is used nationwide, and some states don't, with their grant policies, don't need to have a budget with that. They might handle that a different way. But in the state of Indiana, you need to have that budget with your application. Remember, 3 parts to the application: profile, the actual application itself, and then the budget that's associated with that. So we're not going to hit that submit button yet because we still need to do our budget for that, okay? So when I look down here now, here they are. By scrolling down to the bottom of the page here, it's going to give me my application budget. It says NA because I haven't filled out my budget yet. It doesn't know that I'm talking about, I forget the name of it already, I apologize. David's grant for Marion County. But once I fill out the budget, it'll populate this and you'll see that's a great reminder, you guys, that you have filled out your budget. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page and it says NA, and guess what? You're requesting nothing, you're not going to get anything, okay? Because you haven't filled out your budget portion of it yet. Can't stress that enough. That's the big takeaway from today's meeting is make sure that when you submit your application that you fill out the budget portion of that. And there's lots of friendly reminders and all the documentation walking you through that. So let's fill out the budget. But before I do that, I bet you guys can guess what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to Karen's page here where she has these support files for doing all this information because the budget can be handled in different ways. Some agencies want a lump sum budget. Some agencies want a breakdown of how you're going to fill out that budget. So if you're not quite sure how to fill out the budget, remember, I'm going to show you how to get to it. Karen and her group are going to show you exactly how to fill it out. So let's open up that example of the budget. Wonderful resources here. You guys are in really great hands with Karen and her agency. They've done an excellent job setting up how you can get through all these things and giving you these awesome screenshots showing exactly how to fill out this information. So the budget is going to give you a breakdown, the top portion of it, of how what you're filling out. And then we're going to get into the budget settings for what you want to fill out. So here we're going to be using personnel. Be one of the ones that we're going to take care of. Fringe benefits is another one we're going to work with. It looks like we're not doing anything with travel. Supplies is another one we're going to work with, and I'll show you how to fill all this stuff out. But again, this gives you a wonderful example of how you want to fill out these budgets themselves. What information goes into here. I'll show you how to add information, but Karen's example is going to show under contractual how you want to put that information into that too as well. And then actually it gets into a budget narrative. This one to make sure I showed you guys. And this is why you want to refer back to her documentation. Because here under personnel, be specific about how salaries are determined. It gives you a breakdown for that. You guys need to make sure that you add this to your budget narrative, okay? Print it out, have it on that second screen, do whatever you need to do. So as you're filling out the budget, when you get, especially when you get to the budget narrative, you're addressing all these things that need to be covered. Because you want to get that grant and you want to make Karen and her reviewers' life easy by having all that information right there for them that they're required and for them to do their work so that they can properly evaluate this and get you that grant. So again, wonderful job giving you these super explanations about what to put into these fields. Okay, so let's actually look at the budget itself. So here we are. We're again, we know we haven't filled the budget yet because there's no name to it. And once I fill it out and save it, you'll see there will be a name to it, and it'll give me an aggregate of all the money that I'm asking for. So to get into it, we're going to go to our actions and this little, I don't know, hamburger pancake stack. I've heard it called a couple different things, to be honest with you. I kind of like myself, so we'll go pancake stack. So by clicking on that, it's going to allow me to edit my budget. And this is going to take me to the budget screen. And guess what? It looks exactly like what Karen put together in her example of how to fill out the budget. Okay. It's telling me the name of my program, David Grant, Marion County, IOT. It's going to give me a breakdown of my budget as I'm filling it out. Okay. So I can always refer back to the top portion of it. It's going to be a breakdown of that. So I already figured out already. Oops, excuse me. Wrong button there. So on the example that Karen has, personnel is one of the categories we will be working with. Personnel, fringe benefits. And so let's go back here. So for the personnel, what you need to do, you guys, and this is maybe not the most intuitive, but it's super easy to follow. And again, the user guides are going to walk you through how to fill this out if you get lost. But clicking on personnel, that opens up that category for me to be able to fill out this information, okay? And then again, in the narrative, I'm going to talk more about that personnel, how I can explain why these numbers are the way they are. So here for personnel, I would say my cost is going to be $5,000. Again, these are made up numbers. Make sure you refer back to the requirements that Karen has in her examples about different things. I just want to show you guys how easy it is to put this information into it. Fringe benefits, was that one of the ones? We go back to Karen's example. Fringe benefits, sure enough, it is. Okay, that's one of the ones we want to fill out. But clicking on here gives me the opportunity to fill out that row for my costs associated with my fringe benefits. So with the fringe benefits, we'll say $750 are going to be attached to that. Okay. Again, what's so nice about this budget, the way it's automated too, is that it actually does the math for you. So if I look up here, I'm already at $5,750 is my direct cost, is what I'll be asking for from this. I'm not sure if there's a match involved, but there's a match involved. You can always even set your matches. So if there's a match that's going to be happening with it, you can say maybe a percentage, 10%, 20%, whatever it's going to be. It'll actually do the math for you too, to do your match portion of it too as well. But for this, I'll have to keep it nice and clean with no match involved. One of the ones I remembered seeing here, again, let's go back to Karen's awesome example of how things are going to work. Supplies, okay? Here's another good one here too for supplies. So we have office supplies and software supplies. And maybe then a nice little description about them, because those actually are required fields. So let's see how we handle ones that have 2 rows. Piece of cake. Okay, so under supplies, here we go. Again, we want to click on the supplies link right here to open up this interface so we can do this. So remember, we had office supplies, so we'll say that these are going to be, and by clicking on the title, you see, guys, I can modify the title of it itself. I can modify the description, supplies from Staples, or wherever you get your supplies, or whatever information you need to put there. And it's going to have a cost that will say $500, okay? But remember, there's also maybe software. There's a different thing that we need for that. So add row. By clicking on add row, I can put in then my description of it, which is going to be software. And then the title, excuse me. The description is required. If I don't fill that out, it's going to give me a no-no. When I go to submit it or save it, it's going to say, hey, you got to have a description of your software. So, it could be GIS related, or anything that you need to describe that. You can do that there. And then again, also in the narrative below, there's a full description of what's going on there. So maybe my software costs are going to be another $500. Okay, got off cheap. Okay, so again, as you see, the budget is simple and easy to work with. It really is. The biggest thing about the budget is remembering that you need to incorporate that with your application when you're submitting it. Don't get happy and click that submit button if you haven't done your budget yet. And Karen does a great job warning you about that in the documentation. So by following her documentation of examples, seeing how simple and easy it is to simply just click on this to add the numbers that you want for it, I think you guys will find the budget portion to be very easy, very intuitive, okay? The biggest thing about it really is going to be the narrative, okay? Again, I'll go back to Karen's awesome example here real quick. Here's that narrative information about that. Your fringe benefits. I didn't do that one. I apologize. Your supplies, a breakdown of maybe the software that you need. Anything that you need them to know, and anything that they're asking you to put into here, the contracting part of it, please buy specific details about any of that. Anything that's associated with that budget that you put money into it, here in the budget narratives is where you can explain that. So there's no question about, well, why do you need $500 for this? You know what I mean? You can explain that thoroughly in the narrative portion of your budget. And that goes right here. So any information that you need to put in there, this is where you can put into that information. And again, please refer to example. So by referring to that example, it's going to really help you cue into the information that you need to put into this box right here, so that you can explain some of those numbers that we put up into here. Because right now we're at $6,750. So it's where the breakdown of each line item, why we put those numbers into that. The narrative here is going to give us a full explanation about why we chose those numbers. So Karen and her group have everything they need when they're reviewing this. They don't have to get back to you going, why did you say you wanted $750 for this? That, or something of that nature. So please take your time to fill this out properly and refer back to those examples so it'll help you know exactly what to put into here. So we're happy with it. We're feeling good about our budget. So now we want to save our changes. Here then is another external note that you can then send to the reviewers. Karen and her group out of reviewing this. So if there's any information that you want to add to this, such as maybe this was completed by David Schilling on 11/8/2024. Any questions, please contact me at davidschilling.com. Whatever extra information you need to let those people at IoT know. This is all going to go along with your budget of your application. This is specific for your budget. So by hitting save, because now I've actually saved my budget. The budget was successfully saved. Yay. So now, by scrolling back up to the top up here, I can return to my application. It's going to give me a breakdown of everything I did with my budget. Okay. And now I can export that too if I want to. If you want to export that as an Excel file so that you can then maybe give it to your financial people and say, hey, here's the budget that will be requested with this. You can always export this out so it'll give you a nice breakdown of everything that you are asking for when you submitted this grant. So we'll return to our application. And here we go. We're back to our application. Now, what I'm going to show you here too is that see what happened with our application budget? It's now David Grant Marion IoT, $6,750. I know I've completed my budget. I feel good about that. I see the name down there. I know it's completed. I know when it was completed. I can actually even go and edit it again because I have not clicked submit yet. So before you click submit and somebody says, oh, we need an extra X amount, $500 for this different fringe benefit or, a different expense somewhere, you can go back and edit your budget, save it, and things of that nature. So until you hit submit, you can always go back and edit any of the three. Remember the big three? The big three are that profile that's associated with the application, your application itself, and then the budget. Okay, that's the three parts that make up the entire package that you'll be submitting to IoT for review. So now if we want to be able to submit this, what we're going to do is we need to log back into the application, okay? And by doing that, you click on here and it'll log you back into the application. Now, remember when I talked about really at the beginning of this about the Apple computers and Safaris? This is where they're having those issues, okay? So if you get back to this and you go to the portal login, you click on it and nothing happens and you're using an Apple Safari web browser, this typically is where that problem exists. So please refer back to the documentation that I have on the website about unchecking that cross-trafficking thing, okay? They're working on trying to fix that, but for right now, we do have a fix that you can use on your browser, but this is the area where that has popped up in the past. Only if you're using an Apple Safari browser. And typically, it's the older Safari browsers. If you update the Safari browser, typically it takes care of this problem. But now we're going to log back into the portal so that we can actually submit this application. Okay, perfect. So now it's telling me that my profile has been completed. Remember, that's the profile for the application, not the profile for eService, but the profile for the application, which again, Karen had a wonderful example of how to fill that out for anything that may be non-typical. I can always go back and edit that if I need to, but it's telling me that it's been completed. Remember when we go back to here, now it's the David's Marion County IoT grant. If it's blue, that means it needs an action. If it's red, which honestly, I've never saw that there's an issue with it and that you need to reach out to the administrator of the program, either Karen or myself. Honestly, I've never saw it. But if it's gray, that means congratulations, you've submitted that application, okay? So let's go into the application itself. So here we are. We're back to the application. It looks really familiar, doesn't it? Okay. It's reminding us how long we have to submit this. Again, this is a rolling deadline, so you might want to check any information out there about when you actually need to submit yours. Okay, because it's kind of a rolling one with different things. I'm not know the specifics of that, but make sure that, make sure that you're not waiting for 423 days to submit this because it probably needs to be submitted prior to that. But here on this page, we have the application. It's telling me it's been completed too as well. And so the application portion is done. I can still go back and edit the application if I need to. If I find out before I click submit that somebody in my agency said, oh, it's important that you change this information on there because maybe there's a new person who's in charge of a different program that was asked about. You can always go back and edit the actual application itself. And look, lo and behold, remember the application budget? I know it's filled out. Remember, I warned you guys before when you saw that submit button, make sure you scroll down because if it says NA and you're not asking for any money, you didn't fill out your budget. Okay. So it's important that you make sure you scroll down before you hit that submit button, check out the application budget. Okay. It's going to now be named. It's going to say David Grant, Marion, IOT, and it's going to give me the amount that I need for that. And again, I had to click submit. So if I need to go back and edit that budget, excuse me, I can always click on the pancakes and go back and actually edit my budget. Okay. So before you click submit, you have the opportunity of changing all three of the things: the profile, the application itself, or the application budget. And those are the three components that make up the whole package that you're sending over to IoT. So it looks like everything is ready to go. So I've taken care of everything like that. So now by clicking on submit, I'll actually submit this over to Karen and for her group to review. This will turn gray and say completed, which means that basically you've submitted it. You're done. You're no longer going to have that edit button. The edit button is going to disappear from the application. It'll just say completed. And the same thing will happen with your budget. It's going to say review. It will not say edit budget. Okay. I'm not going to go ahead and submit it today because this is a live environment, and then Karen have to do a lot of work on her part to delete it, send it, and all that kind of stuff. So basically, though, what in a nutshell is that your job is done. You hit the big three. Remember the big three: profile, application, budget. Okay, you completed all those. You know you've completed your budget because it has the information down here. It's telling you what you requested. So by clicking on submit, we'll actually submit that application over. The edit buttons then are going to disappear, and you'll be done with sending off your application. So have a little bit of time left, so I might give you a quick heads up of just a really super brief thing just to show you how easy it is to manage these things so we can get to the award process. But let me take a quick pause for a quick drink of tea. And is there any questions, you guys? I know I went through a lot of information, but is there any questions you guys have about what I've demonstrated so far? Well, like with my children, I always say that no news is good news, especially when they're in college, which they are currently. So great. I'm hoping you guys are all going, whew, I wasn't as scared as I thought it was going to be. You hear this ESO's portal and all this stuff. It can sound scary, but it's not. It's like ordering something off of Amazon. It really is. And between the documentation that we have here on the website, where you can go through, Dave, I forget that one portion about, how you did that. Go back to that user guide, okay? That user guide is going to be these cool screen captures. They're going to walk you through the whole process. Actually, it's exactly what I talked about, okay? So you can always go back to those and refer back to that user guide. It's going to walk you through the entire process that I just basically talked about today. You'll always have those there ready for you on demand. Under the grants opportunity is where, again, you have the overview, everything about it. You have the eligibility, you have the financials associated with it, whom to contact if you have questions about that. And then my favorite part is these example files, okay? Whether you're doing the big three, remember the big three: budget, profile, and application, okay? So whatever portion that you're working on, you can always refer back to Karen's awesome examples, screen captures, the whole 9 yards, how to do all that. Oops, I don't know what happened there. It'll walk you through that whole process for how to do all that, how you can take care of the application, what's needed for the profile and for the budget. Again, remember the budget had those narratives. Make sure you guys are filling out that information as Karen has laid out in those examples for you guys. So got lots of resources to walk you through the whole process for doing that. So again, let me show you real quick, just super quick. So what we're going to do is show you guys basically, again, any of your applications you send. Now, I work on a lot of demo environments. So I have a lot of things here, but when you submit your application, it's going to show up here as under review. There'll be just one. It won't be all these ones that are here. Yeah, I'm a demonstrator, so I have lots of ones on my screen. But these are the different categories you're going to see under your applications. Under review means that you completed it. You've sent it over to IoT for doing the reviews, and you're waiting on that email to come to say, hey, congratulations, you've been awarded. Okay. And then it'll move to an awarded stage, and you'll be actually still be able to see that under your applications as awarded. Again, remember I said this is the one area where you're going to do all your work from applying for it, under review, applying for it, managing it as it's awarded, or even after you close it out. You're going to close it out, and it's all going to be right here for you. Simple, easy interface, all combined into a nice small workspace for you to work with. Okay, so again, super quick because you guys have been such an awesome audience. I'm going to show you how easy it is then to be to manage your awards when, not if, when you get those awards. So again, if I click on my awards, it's going to take me to the page where I now have my awarded ones. So after you get that awesome email saying congratulations, you've been awarded, you'll still be able to see it under my applications. You'll be able to see any ones you're working on or submitted. If I was working on one, it would say draft. Remember I talked about that, how you can go back and update any drafts. So the statuses are going to be under review, draft, or awarded. But if it's already been awarded, then it's going to come here to the awarded page. And what you'll see here is pending final award, which means that you've been awarded it, but you got an email saying, do you want this award? And you said, yes, I do. You send that back, and the Karen Her group will actually make the final decision saying, yes, you want it. There is no back and forth changing information. You can have dialogues back and forth during the award process. I won't get into that. But these are the statuses you'll see: pending award, awarded, or closed. Okay. So in the awarded one, what you're going to see, I'm just going to show you just super quick. And again, I'm not leaving my environment. I'm not going to some foreign looking screen or page where I'm going, okay, now where am I? I'm staying in the same exact portal, but now I have a few more functionalities. Okay. I can view my budget. I can submit my financial reports. Super easy. Activity reports. I can close out my awards. Okay. You'll see pending tasks. Karen and her group can set these tasks so that you can actually see exactly when you need to submit your financial reports, when you need to submit your activity reports. It gives you the cadence for doing all that. Okay. You can build a team. Remember I mentioned that when you're awarded it, you can build a team. You can have somebody doing finances, somebody doing activities, things of that nature. You can build your team right here. And then also what I love the most about this, it'll show you as you do things. This will give you your award activities, who's done what and what stages that they're at. This before was a huge pain for people because they used to have to go, did Tom get that back? Where are we at in this stage? Did we ever get paid for that? What are we doing on this one? Okay. So here it's going to tell you with your activity report that was submitted for 9/1 through 9/30, that reported period, that's been approved. That's all set and done. You can always review that report if you want to. Financial reports are the big ones, and these are the steps that you're going to see as you're submitting financial reports. It's going to let you know the cadence of when you submit those reports, whether they've been approved and paid, meaning that it was been approved, sent you the check. You have approved waiting on payment, which means it's been approved by Karen's group. Now our finance people are writing the check. The check's in the mail, so to speak. So they're approved waiting payment, or there's actually pending approval. This is the last one that was just sent. So you've submitted it, and you're waiting to get approval for that, and then it'll move to approval paid. So it's so nice about eCivis Portal is that it's from cradle to grave. You submit your application here. You take care of all that. When you get awarded that contract, it's going to give you the cadence for what you need to do. It's going to give you the tasks you need to accomplish, all the way to closing out your grant. And it's going to give you the dates when those are actually due for doing that. And then it's going to actually keep track of everything you're doing with it too as well. I'm not going to go into much more than that, but even with your finances, as you're getting draws down, it's going to keep a running tally going for of your drawdowns too. So you know exactly where you stand in the process. So hope you guys are all saying, wow, that's pretty cool. That's not near as scary as I thought it was going to be, because whether you're doing your applications or whether you're managing your awards, it's all done right here in the eCivis portal environment, and it's very intuitive. And we have those awesome user guides. When we get into awards management, the things I was just talking about, submitting financial reports, submitting activity reports, closing out your project. We have user guides, you know, walk you through that whole process, simple and easy, lots of screen captures, video showing exactly where to click, with narrative telling you why you're clicking here, not just looking at it, but it's basically, we just took screen captures of somebody doing it and explaining the process that we're going through there. So lots of documentation to walk you through the whole process. So is there anything, you guys, any questions you have or anything I can help you with? You know, as you're going through here, is that what I could do is take this, oops, wow, my mouse is going crazy there for a minute. Again, under resources for state agencies here, again, the steering wheel, the menu, grants management, resources for subrecipient is the key one for you guys. So let me even drop that into the chat real quick. Oh, I think some of you might have already. Oh, wow. So yeah, so anytime you need to follow that, you know, this is perfect guidance for you guys how to get to that. And then again, the last thing I'll show you here on the website is to remind you that under grants management, the T-bone steak of the dinner when it comes to the SBA website is about those grant management workshops. We have one set up specifically for applicants, subrecipients, so you guys can take advantage of that resource, or the context grants management interface here. So that you guys, if you ever have any questions about David, you know, did a great job on that presentation, but I completely forgot everything you said, just shoot me an email, okay? And we can, and this is the mechanism for doing that. It actually goes to my team so that everyone can answer your questions quickly and easy. If I'm in a meeting or something like that, or happen to be off that day, the whole team can get back to you. This is the quickest, most direct way to communicate with SBA. If you need to communicate with anyone specific to that grant, you guys remember how to do that, right? Is we go back to their steering wheel, we go back to that state grant opportunity, and then under the actual opportunity for the GIS one, we have that contact information. So if it's specific to the application or something of that nature, you can always go back and contact them. They have their contact information right there for you guys. So I know that was an awful lot to go through in one time period. So hopefully you guys found that pretty intuitive to follow. And like I said, if you've been through Amazon, then pretty much you've been through what we go through when it comes down to filling these out. So is there any questions you guys might have that I can show you before we maybe even get out here a little bit early on a beautiful Friday? Again, with my children, silence is golden. So, Karen, I'll kick it back over to you. So, if there's anything that you want to wrap up with, and I just want to thank everyone for this opportunity, for giving this, and also let you know that we're always available. So, really, don't feel like you have to handle all this on your own. Whether it's Karen, her group, or my group at SBA, we're here to help you guys at any time with one-on-ones, with emails, with office hours. Totally here to support you guys.
Thank you, David. And thank you all for hanging out all the way through the end. And as David said, any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We will be posting a recording of the video on the hub page. You can find the first session on the Data Harvest hub page. I put a link in the chat to the web page where you can find that video. And once this one is ready and uploaded to YouTube, then we'll put a link to this video as well.
Awesome. Thanks for bringing that up, Karen. I forgot to mention that. And please excuse all the ums and things like that I had in there. And so a little crazy knowing that I'm on YouTube somewhere, but you know, any resources you guys need, we got you. Thank you very much for today, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.